Hi, my name is Christian. Welcome to this episode of Life in the Lightroom, the way I did it. Today I'm gonna be talking about an image I made and I call the Pelican dance or Pelican ballet. Be sure to head over to outer.is and check out the blog about the image and some further information about the image that I might leave out here, but will then enter there. The image in question, if we head over to Lightroom, is this image taken on the beach of Ligui or in Baja California. If we check out the map, it's called here Ensenada Blanca, but by the locals it's called Ligui Beach. The town of Ligui is here, and the hotels that I talk about in the blog are in this area. We stayed on the beach here, and being a bird photographer is a hard life, as you can see here. This is me sitting out in the ocean waiting for the birds to come. This is later in the day, but I was working more or less during sunset and sunrise. This was our home during the trip, and we managed to drive that down to the beach and into this area where we stayed. Not recommended for everybody, but if you've got a vehicle like that, it should be okay. What I'm gonna talk about today is this image, how I made this image. I'm not much of a bird photographer, but I got an idea when I saw the pelicans diving there for fish one morning, and I saw an image in my head, and it's taken me approximately 10 attempts and 5 years to come to the conclusion of this image. The original image is this one, as you see. And what I'm gonna do today, I'm gonna walk you through the way I managed to change it from this over to this, and then the final image of this. So let's dive into the develop module. What I have done here, I've imported DNGs into Lightroom 5. I'm not going to be talking about that today, but I plan on making other videos about the work environment of Lightroom 5 and how we work there. So now we're going to reset it, so we have nothing, we've just got the plain raw image. And basically in most all images I work on, I start in the camera calibration. The profiles give you a different color rendering, different contrast, and enhance some colors more than others, and in this case I'm going with the camera landscape profile, and that's just about it I'm gonna do here. In the effects, I will not be doing anything, but I will head into lens correction. The basic I would normally use enable profile correction, but in this case I was using a 70-200mm lens with an extender too, so there is no profile correction for that, but I wanna take some of the vignetting away, so I'll go and I'll put this up to around 27, 28 thereabout. Seems like I've taken most of it, not all, but you'll see that later it comes back, but most of all of it. In the details, the standard is here sharpening of 25. I either pull it down to 0 or I leave it at around 10, but that's something you will have to find out for yourself, for the camera, the type of sensor you're using, and so on. The noise reduction, I'll be doing a little bit of noise reduction, but the color reduction, I will leave that at the default of 25. That seems to be somewhere close to what I want for this camera. It varies a lot based on what camera I am using. Split toning, I do nothing there. Hue, saturation and color, leave that alone in this case. I go with linear in this image, but I'm gonna tweak it a bit because I'm gonna take this down to about 24, and I'm pushing the lights quite much up, all the way up to 51. So now we see that there's something starting to happen in this image. Saturation, I'm gonna pull up saturation around 10, 12, somewhere around that. But I tend to go with lower saturation but higher vibrance, and I'm not gonna go in this video so much into why, but based on experience it gives me more of what I like, working with lower saturation and more vibrance. I might do a video on that later on. Now blacks, we're gonna leave that for now. I'm gonna push this up just a little bit. I'm gonna push it up to 20. Contrast, I'm gonna push the contrast up to 31. It's quite a high contrast, and we'll see I'm starting to lose details here, but we're not gonna be worried about that. I'm gonna pull up a little bit of the shadows. I'm gonna pull them up to around 10, 11, somewhere around that. But the whites, I'm gonna push them up quite a bit. Somewhere around this 36 should be okay. And blacks, we're gonna see what I'm watching here is keeping the blacks within the gamma of the histogram. So we end up here with this. We have clarity. We're gonna push that up a bit, not too much. And when we push up the clarity, we see that we're clipping in the blacks. So we push up black again, and here in 11 it disappears. So that's it, but the final touch is still to come. That is, as you can see, the white balance of the image. The auto white balance of the image is 4800 kelvins. We're gonna push that up to 7000, and now you can see the changes. We're getting a lot warmer. This is shot just after sunset, so the image is very blue, but by pushing up the temperature we are getting much warmer image. Now that we have the image finished, we are pretty much where this image is. You can see it's the same image. What I do now is I go into library, into photo, and I create a virtual copy. and I have gone ahead and created two virtual copies, one darker and one lighter, and I pull them. The only thing that I change in these images is that I pull down the exposure just about at one stop, and here I push up the exposure just about one stop. This is 120. I had the image, the original image is around 25. I pushed it a little bit up, so one down from there is minus 80 here and 120 here. So when this is done, we go to the library and we go to File and we export, and I export it as TIFF, 16-bit TIFF image. Now I have gone ahead and done that, so the next step is to open up Photomatix Pro and load the bracketed photos. We go and browse in for the photos, and as you can see, Lightroom has named them, and I load these photos, and it shows me that it's not exactly what I had in mind, so I could change the EV gap of the image here, but I decided not to. I decided to leave it as is. So we don't need to align source in this image because we are having only one image. We don't need to align source. We don't need to remove ghosts, and we leave the reduced noise for later. So we process the image. And there's a bit of a wait, and we go to tone mapping or tone fusion. Now comes the trial and error. Here there is basically nothing you can do except try back and forth what you want and see for it. So I'm gonna go into default, and because I know approximately what I did, I'm gonna pull this up to around 80. But what I do, I go back and forth with the image till I find the spots where I want it. I pushed color saturation a bit up in this one. Luminosity I pulled down. Detail contrast I had tried back and forth, and somewhere around 3 was it, and the lighting adjustment was not so big in this. I was probably somewhere around here in this image. I leave smooth highlights alone. The white point, I pulled that up a little bit, somewhere almost close to a stop here. Black point I left alone, but gamma, we are gonna pull that down, and we're gonna pull that down to 1.4. So now we have that. Temperature I left alone. Micro smoothing, that was all the way up. Saturation of highlights, I pulled that just a bit down, not so much, around 2. Saturation of shadows I pulled up just a tiniest little bit. And shadow smoothing, I think I ended up in pulling it all the way. Some might think that in this area here it crashes, but I actually liked it. So this is the final image, and I'll process that. And then we've got this image, and we have contrast here, and I gave it a mild contrast. I then saved this image down, but as I've done it already, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna go and open the already saved map with the ending tone mapped. So here we have the final image, and why I'm doing this is because I'm running it again through tone map. This time through tone compressor. And in the tone compressor, I will be pulling this up just the tiniest bit, and I'm gonna take this somewhere around here. So this is then the final image. I process that. So now we have gone to the final image, or on the road to the final image. It's not the final image. I will then save this image, which is a tone mapped image, and head over to Photoshop. So just to take you through it, we have in this case gone from this image through this image as tone mapped image over to this image as tone mapped image, but there's some steps. As you can see, there are more details here, and there are some steps that we're gonna go through now. So now I go and open up the image that I have prepared for this, which is the tone mapped image. And as you can see, I have here a couple of layers, and I'm gonna go through what I did in this. This is the tone map image original. What I do now is I go and open up the lightest of those images also. This is the lightest image of the bird. I copy this image, and I paste it in here. It's this layer here. I add a layer mask. I invert the layer mask, so now we have nothing there. And then, as we see, black conceals, white reveals. I'll paint in the bird with white if I can choose it, right. So I'll paint it. I have now opacity of 45 and flow of 49. I would probably just leave it at full while working, but I'm gonna do it like that now just for the sake of this video, and I paint in the darker areas of the bird, of the pelican, so we get a little bit of the details in it. We are having some clipping here. We might wanna lighten this up also a little bit if we want to, just so. And you can always go back if you do too much. You go and just select black and go around and paint like that. So this is the original I did, and I think I even did better job right now than I did in the original, but it's always a question of taste. Here is just the question of taste. Next thing I did was to pull down the hue and saturation. I pulled the saturation down just the tiniest bit, but I went into the yellows and pulled down yellow saturation just a tiny bit too. Basically, mostly because I felt like it. It's like everything else I do. I just do what I feel like and I want to do. There are no rules. Next thing, I create a layer, which is basically just a layer for stamping out or cloning out. I use the healing brush. You can see there are spots here, there are spots here, and there are spots here. I use the healing brush set to all layers. So I just create a new layer, have it selected to all layers, hit the J, and usually I go in full size and find the spots that I want to take out and clean. So I basically just clean the image of all the spots and things that I don't like anymore. And then when I'm done doing that, I hit Alt and go here into let's see, now we were gonna leave it at that, just leave it as it is. So I would basically what I would do, I would merge visible into one, but I'm not gonna do it now. So this is the final image, and that's about it. Save it, print it, send it on the net, or do whatever you want to do with your image from now. So we have gone from this image, slightly underexposed image where I was playing with panning the camera, having slow shutter speed, panning the camera, following the birds, creating some movement. We've made it warmer. We've gone through Photomatix Pro and made it even warmer and brighter colors, and finished off with just a slight touch in Photoshop. So that's it for today. I hope you could learn a little bit of how I work and how my mind goes through this. This is an image that I wanted to do for a long time, and I have some further stories about this image at aurora.is under the blog. Be welcome to visit my blog, and if you like this, follow my channel, subscribe to my channel, because I hope I'll be posting a lot more of videos that hopefully can help you a little bit on your journey to become a better photographer. Thank you and have a nice life.